Dream Your Life Amazing, Chapter 9, Purifying Your Purpose, Life Mastery. One of the greatest joys in a human being's life is the habit of mastery. There's a big difference between perfectionism and striving for mastery. A person who is a perfectionist is always dissatisfied, discontent, and unhappy. A person who is striving for mastery is always finding richness of reward and satisfaction in the battle. In Japan, they have a word for mastery. It's called Kaizen, a Japanese business philosophy of continuous improvement of working practices, personal efficiency, etc. Individuals who have at least one thing in their life that they are striving to be great at or master find that the other areas of their life have greater joy and satisfaction. It's a well-known fact that Albert Einstein was dysfunctional in some areas of his life, including relationships, personal grooming, and by his own admission, not a very good mathematician. Despite some of his dysfunctions, Einstein excelled greatly in the area of physics, and his mastery or genius propelled him to greatness. As he continued to achieve notoriety and gain greater influence, the shortcomings of his life began to improve and come alongside to assist in his mastery of physics. He became a decent mathematician and public speaker, but he never did quite learn how to brush his hair. Life mastery brings great satisfaction to your soul because you're always looking for areas to improve your communication skills, purifying your purpose, and becoming more effective in every arena of life. The Rich Man Lie. In all my conversations with highly successful people, there is a seeming contradiction. Many of these people don't have a balanced life, nor know many of the things I'm teaching in this book. Many of them promote the reasons for their success and are not even right about the reasons they succeed. I call this the rich man lie. It's so prevalent that once I tell you one or two examples, you'll be able to see it in almost every arena of life. There's this guy I know who is the pastor of one of the largest churches in his city, makes thousands and thousands of dollars in offerings. I knew him when we were young, so it was a desire of mine to visit him and see what he was doing in his ministry. After just a few minutes, I realized his congregation was hypnotized by his easy manner and by his comedic delivery of Bible verses. But what was also obvious was his desperate lack of understanding of Scripture. He misquoted almost every verse and, even worse, misinterpreted its meaning. Just like many other large organizations I've witnessed, the people inside the machine didn't care to think or question anything. Now, these were not minor offenses. This guy was as jacked up in his teaching as almost everyone I've ever heard. So, as a friend, I decided to talk to him. Our conversation was not confrontive but civil, yet he continued to hit this one wall. As I talked to him about the hypnotic techniques and his use of Bible to control and manipulate the crowd, rather than being able to stay on the topic, his defense fell back on his success. How can I be wrong when I'm making so much money? How can you be right when you don't have a church as big as mine? How can the people who taught me be wrong when they all have successful ministries? On a separate occasion, I was paid a huge sum of money to consult a man who was worth many millions of dollars. He wanted my advice and help to launch a new business. Within a few hours, I knew I would never be able to help him. The stories he told of his past adventures and his unwillingness to consider anyone's voice in the room other than his made him unaware that there was no way his new company would ever make a dime. To this day, he has spent most of his fortune on trying to see this venture take root. But rather than listen to the consultants and experts in the field, he continues the rationale of his brilliance and believes the world will soon come to the same conclusions and make his company a wonder to behold. These men and many others who taste of success are blinded by the success and are unable to see what really got them there. Every action feeds the dream. As a young man, I was intrigued by successful individuals who were able to achieve a great number of things in their lifetime. One in particular was Benjamin Franklin. I was impressed with his biography, how hard he worked and how much he achieved. I thought, in my younger days, I would love to have a resume as long as Benjamin Franklin. By the age of 35, I reached that goal. I used to wonder, how is it that the average person stays working at the same job and masters almost nothing their entire life? Why are there others who travel the world, learn many languages, read thousands of books, become authors, speakers, politicians, or master craftsmen? We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but some people have discovered this one thing: every action feeds a dream. Once you realize that your days are precious and your hours are golden, you'll begin to use each day on a positive side of feeding your dreams instead of the negative side. When you begin living a life filled with pursuit and mastery, there are no neutral actions. You will find that there are things that add to mastery and everything else takes away from it. There is no neutral action. This is not to put only productivity as the goal of a person's life, because there is great value in recreation. The very word means to recreate. Building relationships, having conversations, and enjoying your life to its fullest are part of a life of achievement. IQ, EQ, SQ. For those interested in this subject, please search YouTube for IQ, EQ, SQ by Bill Ebert and listen to a more in-depth version of this training. Almost everyone is familiar with the term IQ. It means intelligence quotient. Einstein said, "I'm not smarter than most of you. I just stay with the problem longer than you do." Here, Einstein gives us a little key into the ability to improve your IQ. Many people run into an obstacle and stop before figuring out a solution. Einstein said that the reason he was able to figure things out was he didn't stop. So, to improve your IQ, focus on things of intelligence, and your IQ will improve or grow like a muscle. Genius begins in wonder. We can see wonder in the eyes of a child as they are continually looking for new discovery. I believe everyone is born with this ability, this hunger to learn, to discover, but with the inundation of systemized education, most children have their wonder removed by the time they're 10 or 11 years old. As we force-feed children information that they care little about, we remove hunger and desire for learning. We have the ability to turn wonder back on, recognize where it went, and rediscover learning as it should be. Benjamin Franklin said, "The doorstep to the temple of wisdom is the knowledge of our own ignorance." Currently, the mode of information and propaganda and fear-based newscasting has caused almost our entire society to base their information on sound bites. It is almost impossible to find truth in such a soundbite society whose agenda is established through fear-based conversations. People fear the thought, "What I know might not be true." Fear kills wonder. An open mind is not subject to error. It is the closed mind that is stuck in ignorance, because people are afraid or too lazy to research, to investigate, to find out what is true. We have a culture that has locked themselves into idealism and surround themselves with ideas that justify their ideals until they are unable to hear anything else. It should be your goal as a person that is continually learning and continually purifying your purpose. Strive to redefine even the simplest things that you see why you do what you do, or believe what you believe. As part of regularly examining your life and purifying your purpose, you should allow yourself the privilege of questioning your current doctrines and beliefs. Figure out where your beliefs and doctrines come from. Figure out who gave them to you, and figure out why they are so important to you. Spiritual quotient. Aim at heaven, and you will get earth thrown in. If you aim at earth, you will get neither. C.S. Lewis. In one of my business ventures, I was once told by someone there is no room in business for spirituality. But in simple examination of that statement, the very spiritual absolute the person was trying to convey was in fact a religious opinion. One who would make that statement is probably an agnostic or an atheist, and it's their belief, the spiritual belief, of the atheist and the agnostic that there should be no spirituality in business. Spirituality should begin and end with truth. Spirituality for spirituality's sake is of little value. Most world religions that began in truth ended in hypocrisy, ignorance, and blindness. Being spiritual just by believing in a higher power or having a belief system that is passed down to you by your parents, by your culture, or your desires is not what I'm talking about. It's common that a person's choice of spirituality is based on their environment and not on the pursuit of what is true. It is very likely that we are making choices based on opinion or culture rather than encounter or revelation. There are 1,000 hacking at the branches of evil to one who is striking at the root. Henry David Thoreau. Many of the world's religions are contradictory to each other. I hope that you will be one of the few who would allow yourself to question what you believe. Consider this. Within each religion, the factions or differences in beliefs and practice are very often contradictory to each other. There is so much contradiction that there's an opinion for almost every single idea or variation of an idea. Rather than a person searching for themselves, it seems to be the choice of the average human being to either pick one side without questioning or pursuing the facts. Then they go on to believe the rest of the doctrines of that choice. Some see the silliness of most religions and choose not to believe at all. But never do we question, is what I believe true? The spiritual masters of the ages made it clear that truth was achievable. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John chapter 8. One of my primary goals and life's mission is to find what is true. It's not to just believe the doctrines and systems of those who have gone before. It's to prove what is true. The individuals who build their lives and success on things that are true are more content. They are more successful than those who wander through time without a foundation. If this truth journey is something you would like to know more about, please find more information on the subject by going to my blog and subscribing for the information of my next book, Discovering the Truth. Please take some time to watch a video I posted. You can find it on my blog and just look for part 1 of Discovering the Truth.